What's going on, everybody? Movie fans, movie community. Mr. Movie Night here. It's a Sunday evening, and had some time off, and I've got some time off tomorrow. And I thought I'd just come here and chat with you guys. Kind of a little impromptu video. I want to thank everybody for checking out my last video and commenting on that. And it feels great to know I have so many people that do enjoy my videos, because otherwise I'm just a loser sitting here talking to the camera and nobody cares. At least a few of you care. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I just been kind of thinking tonight about some different things as far as films and film genres and stuff like that. And as you may or may not know, I studied film and television production in college, so it's very interesting to me how films affect us and what makes films work, psychologically and stuff, especially with horror and that kind of thing. So anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about horror tonight in general, and maybe even discuss a few things I've seen lately. I've seen some disturbing things. I know I made a video a while back, quite a while back, probably a few years back, about the most disturbing films in my collection. Now, that was definitely the films in my collection. It was not necessarily the most disturbing films that are out there in the world. But anyway, let's talk about, just for a minute, horror in general. I heard John Carpenter, who directed Halloween. Of course, if you guys don't know John Carpenter, you're probably I don't know why you're subscribed to my channel or why you're a big movie fan. But anyway, he said one time that horror is one of those things that we almost kind of need psychologically. It's like we go in and we expose ourselves to all of this dread and all these terrible things, and that in turn sort of helps us to deal with it more in the real world. Knowing that it's there, exposing ourselves to all this awful stuff in films feels kind of it feels like a psychological void, or some kind of a need for us to see that or experience that, so that we can, I guess, cope with it more, thinking about it in real life and in society. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like we really want to go scare ourselves, because, like I say, in doing that, it makes everything else a little bit more tolerable. It makes the ideas of all the horrible stuff going on in the world maybe a little easier to handle, even though it's still obviously terrible. But I don't know, it's something weird about our psyche and our psychological makeup. Otherwise, why would people spend so much money to go to a theater and scare themselves, or seek out a film that's going to scare them? As far as things I've seen lately, the other night I watched Sinister, which some of you may have seen in the theater. So I watched a download of that. Ethan Hawke, and very creepy film, because it was different. I thought it was very well done. The old grainy 16mm film footage, that's always kind of a creepy thing, and the music that they played over those clips when he was watching those tapes, or those film reels rather, that was very unnerving and scary. And just the character, the ghost or whatever he was, the demon in Sinister, kind of a spooky look, kind of a different thing. Wasn't something like Insidious, where you're sitting there going, oh, it's Darth Maul is just popping up everywhere. And honestly, I don't want to get on to that tonight, but that was a creepy film. But that sort of ruined it for me with the whole Darth Maul makeup. I don't know what they were thinking, making the demon look like Darth Maul, because it's like, oh, it's a creepy scene. All of a sudden, oops, Star Wars. That's, you don't want to bring that into mind, and like right in the middle of an intense moment. Anyway, back to Sinister. It was very innovative and it was different, and that's what I look for in a horror movie now, because there's so many films out there that just follow the same formula. They use a lot of jump scares and things like that, and nowadays it takes a lot to scare me. It takes a lot to disturb me, and obviously I've seen a lot of films, and I really examine films from a more of a technical perspective than someone who obviously has no knowledge of how they're made. And that could be a flaw for me, because obviously I may not be able to enjoy them quite as much if I notice technical flaws or something else about the way they were put together. but I try to really aesthetically watch them and look at them and think about how they were put together and how they were made, and then how all of that stuff that the director did as far as lighting, cinematography, music, and everything, how that works together to affect me and scare me. And anyway, but now I want to talk about something that I've been meaning to talk about. This is truly a film that disturbed me on so many levels that I still have yet to find something that I can compare it to. I don't even like talking about it, and honestly, it's something where I don't even want to go Google the title of it, but anymore, because I'm afraid that images will pop up from it, those same very images that haunted me for 3 or 4 days after watching it. There are reviews on all over YouTube of it, and I'm sure if you want to get like a full review and all the technical details about the actors, actresses, director, and all that stuff, you can go find that out. I don't want to Google it and find that out, because I don't want to risk, revisiting things that burn themselves into my brain for a long time, and I really want to forget it. But anyway, the film's called Megan is Missing, and I'm sure if any of you have heard of that, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, and you're probably going, oh boy. I can't remember how I found out about this, but I made the mistake of letting my curiosity get the best of me, and I checked it out on Netflix, and this was probably 6 months ago, if not longer. And I'm not going to go into a review of it, but the basic premise, the subject matter itself, dealing with online predators and abduction of teen girls and that kind of thing, in itself is very scary. But this film was just so realistic. It was pretty low budget, and I think in just the basic premise, and I'm liable to get some of this stuff wrong on the facts, but I think it's these two friends. Obviously, one of them's named Megan. I can't remember the other girl's name. They're around 13, 14 years old. They talk a lot of very frankly about sex, and like a lot of the dialogue, even from the start, is just very disturbing because of the age of these young girls, and some of the stuff that they are talking about in sexually explicit detail and everything. And obviously, the girls that play these girls are older, so it's not like they're actually doing that, but they're supposed to be 13, 14 years old. I think that's what it is. Anyway, it's young. It's too young, in my opinion, to be talking about some of this graphic stuff, and that in itself was kind of weird for me. So that's disturbing right off the bat. And then, to make a long story short, the girl Megan goes missing. She's missing for like a week. She gets abducted by a guy that she thought was, one thing online, turned out to be another thing, basically. And her friend kind of, goes looking for her and everything, and winds up in the same hideout, so to speak, or prison or dungeon or whatever you want to call it, that Megan is being held in. She winds up getting kidnapped by the same guy, and the final 20-30 minutes of the film, which are really the most disturbing thing, is like a found footage from the other girl's camera. She got a new camcorder, and she videotapes everything, and so the guy obviously, when he abducts her too, he gets a hold of her camcorder, and he chooses to film the last 20-30 minutes of her life and everything else, all the stuff that happens. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling about this, but the thing that was so disturbing, and people have said this has been all over YouTube, and I'm sure if any of you you know what this is about, but oddly enough, the most disturbing images in that film are only on screen for about maybe 5 seconds. And I don't want to really give anything away, but let's just say there's a couple of haunting images where something's up on the screen, and it is so terrifying to look at, and just it's so disturbing that it just burns into your brain. One of them involves pictures that were posted on a website dealing with some very animalistic bondage type instrumentation. Let's just say that just some really spooky Marilyn Manson type metal apparatuses, which was very disturbing, that were used on these girls. And then obviously, and this is a little bit of a spoiler here, folks. If you really plan to see this and you don't want me to spoil it, you need to turn this video off right now. But I am going to talk about the final part that really disturbed me. So obviously, the girl Megan's been missing, and her friend winds up in this basement dungeon type area. She's locked up in this cellar, and the guy's filming her with this video camera, and he opens the door long enough to throw her dog food and just torture her, throw water on her, other stuff. She's chained up, and it's like a 14-year-old girl, so it's really disturbing. I mean, it's disturbing anyway, but especially disturbing being that it's such a young girl. There's a scene where he drags her out and rapes her, and it doesn't really show anything, but the way that it's done is just very, very unsettling. It's just absolutely horrible. Like, you just, and all right, so here's the part I'm gonna just actually get into here just for a second. But this really disturbed me the most. But there's this big blue plastic barrel. You hear everybody say, "Uh-oh, the barrel scene." That the camera keeps kind of panning by when this guy's walking downstairs in this dirty, dusty, dungy, basement or cellar or whatever it is, and you see this big, huge plastic blue barrel. He keeps kind of panning by it with the camera, and you're kind of like, you notice it, but you don't really think much about it. Well, anyway, when he agrees to let the girl go, he says he's going to let the girl go. Now, obviously, she still hasn't found Megan. She doesn't know where Megan is, but the guy's like, okay, I'll let you go, but I want you to get inside this barrel so that you can't see where I live, and you can't, notify your parents or any authorities where I live. So he drags her out of this room that he's keeping her in, and when he opens up the lid of this barrel to put her in there, her friend Megan, her dead body is in the barrel, okay? And she's been in there for obviously a couple of weeks, and it's just absolutely horrifying. The look on her face, on the dead body's face, is just, like I say, you see it for about 5 seconds, but it is so disturbing. It just absolutely is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my life. You guys go Google the image if you want to see it, but I don't want to see it again. And he throws the girl into the barrel with her dead friend, which is horrifying to think about, closes the lid, and then takes the barrel out in the middle of the woods, and for like 15 minutes he's digging a hole in the ground, and basically buries the one girl alive in a barrel with her dead friend, which is absolutely just horrifying to think about. And I'm sorry, folks, that I've pretty much spoiled a lot of the ending of that. I warned you before. I just had to talk about what was so creepy about that. And anyway, those last final moments, just those images and stuff just burned into my brain. And for like 3, 4, or 5 days, I just was so disturbed by it. At night, especially when I close my eyes and try to sleep and I picture this stuff, I just could not get this out of my head. It just was so ingrained in my head. I have never had ever have a film do that to me. I mean, I was just like physically disturbed and just felt awful for like 3 or 4 days, and it took a really long time for me to get over that, and I don't want to ever see that again, so shame on me for watching it, but it's our human nature and curiosity to want to scare ourselves and check out this creepy stuff, but anyway, I recommend, well, I can't really recommend it because if you guys hadn't seen it, I just spoiled it, but those of you who are curious and want to see some horrible things, you can just Google it, and I'm sure somebody's posted screenshots of it that you can actually look at that are very, very disturbing. But that is by far the most disturbing film I've seen recently, as far as one that really just on a lingering level kept me up at night, kept me thinking about it during the day. Images burned in my mind, just could not get it out of there, and it just was absolutely terrible. I don't like those kind of films that affect me that way. So I try to avoid those, even though you don't know half the time until after you don't know until you watch it, really. But that's why I don't seek out stuff though that I think would really disturb me, to that level. Anyway, I've rambled on a lot here, and I just wanted to, come by and it's interesting this thing that is horror. It's interesting that a film that acting and lights and cinematography and music can stir us to the point where it can affect us like that, and it can ingrain itself into us, and we're literally disturbed long after we turn the movie off. The thing that the thing about Megan is Missing is they say it's loosely based on a lot of true cases of this kind of thing that really happened. And I guess the film was also made as sort of a way to warn parents about the dangers of online dating and chatting. But I don't know any parents that could stomach this or even take that film or even be able to, without being so disturbed either. I mean, it's just horrible. So that's definitely my number one pick right now for one that I don't want to see again. It disturbed me for a long time, and I'd be really glad if I could just completely unsee it, but that's not going to happen. But anyway, folks, feel free to leave me comments, chat about maybe stuff you've seen that really bothered you for a long time, something that you couldn't get out of your head, maybe kept you up at night. It was just really, you wished you really hadn't seen it. I'd love to hear about that. If you want to make a video response, that'd be great too. But anyway, this has been fun chatting with you guys, and I want to stay active in the movie community. I look forward to everybody else's videos, and hey, you know what, hit me up with some comments, send me some video responses, and let me know your thoughts on horror and disturbing films and things that scare you, and that kind of thing. And you guys have a great week coming up, and hopefully I'll see you soon, and I'll be checking you out. Peace.